All right. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Habitual Linecrosser, and today, on our newest episode in my new-ish studio, we have USA versus the world. Now today, who might the USA be facing? Well, it's against the Houthis.
Let me drive the boat.
Now, I know we kind of already played this game and it didn't go well for the Houthis, and that's fair. So I gave us a handicap, and I think that this will go a lot better for this series going forward. Sometimes it'll be the entire US, sometimes it'll be individual units. This time, I pitted the Houthis against a Marine Expeditionary force.
Yo!
From the halls of Montezuma. Now, before we get too far into this, first a word from today's video sponsor. The sponsor for today's video is Aura. Welcome to the future. We live in the information age, and right now people are selling and buying your information on the internet. Every time you put in your phone number when you're purchasing anything at the store, when you're buying a car, when you're signing up for a new credit card, just assume that those people are taking your information and selling it to somebody else, which is why you're getting those phone calls 17 times a day that say, "Hello, I would like to speak to you about your car's extended warranty." That's because they took that shit and sold it to somebody else. But luckily for everyone out there, there is this program called Aura. As we get more keen to these scams of people reaching out to us through phone, email, and everything else like that, they get smarter. There are many different programs out there that help you scrub your information off of the internet, but Aura is so much more than that. Having one of those instead of having Aura is like washing your hands after you've shit your pants. But Aura, on the other hand, is an all-in-one inclusive system. You have 24/7 credit and identity monitoring. You have VPN service, US-based support. You're not calling somebody out in Timbuktu to try and figure out what the heck is going on with your money, your information, and your personal property. And of course, God forbid, but if anything does happen, Aura includes a $5 million identity theft protection, and they have fraud experts on hand 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I mean, back in the day, I was a little bit creative, and I would just put down the terrorist tip line whenever I'd make a large purchase instead of my actual phone number, but the fuckers got smart. That's why I choose Aura to protect me and my family, and right now you can go to aura.com/linecrosser or click the link in the description of this video, or there's a QR code, and you can start your 14-day free trial, which is enough time for Aura to look into who has your information and to get it off of the internet. Back to the show. All right, and we're back. Did you enjoy that? I did. Maybe. So first I want to go into who the Houthis are, because I actually didn't know this. I thought they were literally just called the Houthi rebels. That's kind of a slang term. So the Houthis have had, Yemen, the country of Yemen, has had a civil war going on since 2014. And since then, you've kind of had larger and smaller groups erupt, and one or two of them are kind of a fan of the US, and the Houthis are definitely not. So the Houthis, which are formerly the Supreme Political Council, Yemeni Armed Forces, the Houthi movement, are one of 5 major groups. You have the Republic of Yemen, the pro-PLC Hadrami Elite Forces. You have the pro-PLC Southern Transitional Council. You have the pro-PLC Yemeni National Resistance. And then the Republic of Yemen, which is recognized by the United States. They're a pro-PLC Yemeni Armed Forces and General People's Congress. The Houthis themselves control roughly 70 to 80% of the national population. And this is not because like they own more of the land. No, not necessarily. They just are in charge of the densest populated area. Trust me, I started looking at the map and I was trying to figure out when we get down to the battle plan, there ain't fucking nothing in most of that goddamn country. Sand.
I don't like sand.
And I don't know how I feel about sending people into sand, but whatever. The Houthis themselves are formerly known as Ansar Allah. I don't know if I said that fucking right, but called Houthis based on the surname of Hussein al-Houthi, who was the early leader of the movement, and he died in 2004. Get wrecked, fucking poser. So when it comes to numbers of fighters, the most common citation is around 20,000, with some claiming as high as 120,000. Fighters and loyalists kind of put together, and if I know anything about loyalists, is they become fighters pretty fucking quickly when their homies start getting murked.
Hey, so how's the war going for you guys?
I can't wait to go back home and see my mom.
You know, so I kind of prepared for the potential of 120,000. So for the Marine Expeditionary Force, I actually picked the first Marine Expeditionary Force. And the reason I picked that is because I had to pick one of them because they're all fucking different, okay? Marines are weird. They also, it's really hard to get numbers of things because they all like trade equipment back and forth, and like the Marines just, they are the epitome of just drug deals behind an alley somewhere because they're like, we don't have it, we'll figure out how to get it. And then they just get it from each other, or they steal it from the Navy or the Army. I don't fucking know. But anyways, a Marine Expeditionary Force, the first MEF, has around 53,000 troops. Now, sounds like not that much, but you also got to understand these things scale up and down. And why would I pick a MEF over, like, you know, I'm Army. I could have picked the 82nd Airborne. A MEF is like boxed warfare. That's the easiest way to explain a MEF, because I thought a MEU was like, because I worked with the 2-6 MEU when I was at Operation Afghan Welcome in Fort Pickett, Virginia, or Fort fucking something non-Confederate now, Virginia. Anyways, I was there. 2-6 MEU showed up. They didn't want help with shit, and they just did shit. And like, they had their own air, they had their own fucking ground logistics, they had their own, like, I mean, everything. It's literally just like, hey, that over there, I don't like it anymore. Just get rid of over there. And a fucking Marine Expeditionary Force is there to do that. Like, just a one-stop shop for all your warfare needs. That's what they do. So for my Army people that are out there, I don't know if I could translate this to Navy. I mean, you work with the Marines, so you should probably speak Marine anyways. But for my Army people, when I say like these units, a MEU or a Marine Expeditionary unit is basically a brigade combat team, except they have their own like divisional assets. It's really fucking weird, man. In the first Marine Expeditionary Force, you have the 3rd Marine Aircraft Wing. That includes their logistics aircraft, their combat aircraft, everything. The 1st Marine Logistics Group has logistics fucking down pat. That's their job, is just get shit to Marines. Then you have the 1st Marine Expeditionary Brigade. I don't know what the difference between that is and a MEU. I'll be totally real with you. Maybe those are just like grunts like that. That's the kill unit. I don't know. And then they have 3 MEUs with them. They have the 11th Marine Expeditionary Unit, the 13th Marine Expeditionary Unit, and the 15th Marine Expeditionary Unit, with a grand total of 53,000 Marines. Now I know, 53,000 versus 120,000. That's not looking very good for the Marines. Unfortunately for like everybody else in the world, US Marines excel when they're fucking outnumbered, okay? For example, the Chosin Reservoir back in the Korean War. The Marines were up there and they lost around 1,000, give or take, to enemy fire. They lost like 5,000 or 7,000 to cold. You're not even as badass as Mother Nature. But anyways, and the Chinese that were pushing them back at the Frozen Chosin lost between 13 and 48,000 troops.
Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about. Woo!
Now I know what's going to happen. Hold on, I have a voice changer for this.
But China was a new country at that point in time. They were malnourished. They didn't have a proper military.
Then why the fuck did the commies come for the smoke? You want the smoke, you find Marines, they give you the smoke. That's just the way shit works, okay? Moving on. So let's move on to aircraft then. What kind of aircraft are these Houthis pumping out? They have one F5. It's most likely not operational. Probably got it from their friends in fucking Saudi. They have one MiG-29, but it hasn't been seen flying since 2023, so... And all the missiles that were for their MiG-29 fleet have now been converted to air defense, but we'll get into that here shortly. And then they have a small handful of Mi-17s. As for the Marine Expeditionary Force, well, the downside is, because the way that Marines are about transferring equipment to different units for different missions, the numbers are impossible to find. Plus, Marines, they like keeping it secret, and I don't understand why. So the specific numbers are unknown, but they do have FA-18 Hornets. As far as I know, they don't have Super Hornets. They have F-35Cs, F-35Bs. They have AV-8B Harriers. Apparently all the Harriers are going away by 2027. Kind of sucks, but I understand the necessity there. And then, of course, they have KC-130J Super Hercules. Herculi? How do you pluralize Hercules? Oh, it's gonna fuck me up all day. Anyways, and then moving on to their rotary wing, they have their premier fucking gunship, the AH-1Z Viper. They also have AH-1W Super Cobras. They have UH-1Y Venoms, which is basically, for my Army people out there, it's a Huey with 4 fucking rotors instead of 2, and it has some gun. It's a Huey on steroids. That's what it is, okay? They have CH-53E Super Stallions, and then they have the MV-22B Osprey. And I'm not going to say anything negative about the Osprey. You plain people, man. That's when I learned. Y'all taught me. Like, I'm going off the rails here, okay? Like 2 years ago, I made a video. I was back on fucking TikTok, and I made fun of the MV-22B Osprey. That's when I learned, don't make fun of any aircraft. Don't do it. You plane people are feral. Fuck, y'all came after me, okay? Moving on. When it comes to ships, usually this is a huge long list, but they have a very small number of surface vessels with a small armament. They do have an incredibly large number of drone boats. They have a ton of those things, which that plays into our warplane at the end. Iran has parked ships off of their coast disguised as like cargo vessels. Previously, it was the MV Houthis. It was there until it was damaged by Israel in 2021. Get fucking wrecked, poser. And it was replaced by the MV Bashad. Now, the Marine Expeditionary Force itself relies on the U.S. Navy for transport. However, some of the subunits can be, like subordinate units is what I meant, can be equipped with amphibious assault ships, LHAs, LHDs, amphibious transport docks, those are also known as LPDs, and then dock landing ships, also known as LSDs. Most of those, like entirety, are operated like by Marines, but you do have sailors on board that are doing sailor shit, okay? Look, I got it. You're like, you're going, you're going against yourself here. You're adding in outside things that they have to have a way to get there. They got to be able to get there. Okay. Leave me alone. Because the Houthis ain't getting here. What are they going to do? Hop in fucking their super Habib fucking speedboat and just across the Atlantic? No, fucking, I don't think so. So when it comes to tanks, well, the Houthis, believe it or not, actually have some tanks. Don't get ahead of me. I know what you're thinking immediately. The Houthis have T-34s left over from World War II. I know you guys don't like seeing mouth noises. Mrs. Linecrosser just brought me some cucumber. I'll pause while I eat this. They also have T-55s, they have T-72s, and there's video of them actually possessing one or more T-80s. The numbers are impossible to find on these things. Trust me, the amount of tabs I had open, it was insane. They have also claimed that they've captured an Abrams from Saudi Arabia because Saudi and Yemen have been kind of at this whole war for a while, and Saudi is our like frenemy. Like, we're cool with the Saudis, but they just be doing some shady shit sometimes. So is it plausible for them to get their hands on an Abrams? Yes. Is it plausible that they're still running now? No, I'm sorry. They're just not. They're probably parted out. They have, I don't know, goats living inside them. I have no fucking clue. Now, the Houthis are not unintelligent, but if you can't get parts for it because you're fucking sanctioned, you can't get parts for it. That's the reason Iran, like the F-14 is dead. Aww. The F-14 is gone, man. I'll be outside.
I'll be outside. Good luck.
Oh shit, I shouldn't have said that. That's a flashback to some of you guys. Now, it's well known, for those of you who jumped ahead of me here, that the Marines no longer have tanks. And there's a method to the madness there. I actually had to look into it myself. They wanted to be a lighter, quicker kind of reaction force, and 72 tons tends to slow you down. This doesn't mean they're at as large of a disadvantage as you might think. Something we've seen on the battlefields of Ukraine and fucking everywhere is that modern anti-tank guided weapons do put tanks in the right terrain at a severe disadvantage. And considering the vast majority of what they have don't even have thermal, I'm going to say that the Marines with their javelins, their TOWs, their AT-4s, their LAWs, and our good old friend Carl Gustav are going to be fucking wrecking shop. Now, moving on to missiles, and I don't know if you're like watched all these videos, you might notice a trend, and the trend is that aggressor nations really love their ballistic missiles, and non-aggressor nations are like, I mean, I have a lot of like 3 types of missiles, but these guys, like every other fucking day, they change the paint job, they want to call it a different fucking missile, and they're all hypersonic. Oh my God. The Houthis don't have hypersonics. Iran doesn't have hypersonics. China, maybe. Fucking maybe. Russia definitely does not. Russia's just full of shit. They're doing the fox bat all over again. Oh, our missiles are hypersonic. No, they're fucking not. I'm out of breath. All right, I gotta continue. Anyways, the Houthis, they have themselves quite a few missiles. And where do they get them from? Iran. So when you go like, hey, why did America attack Iran when Israel did it? And it's like, well, the Houthis been getting all their shit from Iran for quite some time. They have a fucking unit in Iran that is specifically designed to traffic weapons to terrorist organizations. I don't know how much more fucking plain for you it's gotta be, but anyways. And the Houthis touched the boats. Well, they tried. They fucking definitely tried. Over 100 attacks. These are the big names that kind of pop out to me. Again, numbers aren't known. They might not have a single one of these that is operational right at this moment. I don't know. They have the Asif anti-ship missile. They have the Shahab 1, Shahab 3, Apparently Shahab 2 was just on back order or something. Maybe Middle Eastern Amazon. What do we call Middle Eastern Amazon? I'll think of a cool quip for it. They have the Qaim 1, which is pronounced Qaim, but it's Qaim. I don't fucking like that name. But they have the Hatim, which is a variant of an Iranian one. They have the Fateh 110. If it says Fateh, it's Iranian. Every time I go on fucking Twitter, there's some guy, oh, the Iranian Fateh. Which one? The Fateh? The Fateh 1? The Fateh 110? The Fateh ER? The Fateh 3? Dude, half of fucking Iranians' missiles are just Fateh. Or Fatah, however the hell you pronounce that. I don't give a shit. Anyways, they have the Mohit. It's another anti-ship missile. They have the Tankil. And in the world of cruise missiles, we know for a fact, operational right now, they have the Al-Mandab 1 and the Quds 4. And for the Marine Expeditionary Force, they have the ground-based anti-ship missile and the Nemesis. The Nemesis is supposed to be for anti-ship as well, although I did read a couple articles saying that it can do ground-based attack capability. I've never worked with the system personally. If you have, I would really like some more information on that because I couldn't really find much on it online. It's a relatively new system. Now, if you're following along and actually looking at these numbers, you're figuring out pretty quickly that number one, the Marines are outnumbered. Number two, the Marines don't have any tanks to compete with enemy tanks. Number three, the Marines are seriously outgunned when it comes to ballistic missiles. So I kind of like this version better because usually it's just like America just throwing so much shit at somebody. And it's like, now I actually have to like use economy of force and plan this a little bit better. And you'll see when we get to the war plan. When it comes to air defense, the Houthis have the Bark 1, Bark 2. I think it's pronounced Bark. It's B-A-R-Q. I'm going to say it's Bark. And the SA-67, along with various air-to-air missiles that they pulled off of their aging and probably falling apart MiG-29 fleet. What a MiG-15 thing to do. If you didn't get that joke about the MiG-15, please go to Google right now and look up the NATO reporting name for the MiG-15. Then you're going to have a laugh. It's going to be a good time. Moving forward, the Marine Expeditionary Force, when it comes to air defense, they have El Mattis. El Mattis is a counter UAV kind of jamming system. Now, I'm sure there's more things coming online that they're going to be using, drone busters, smart shooters, also known as the Smash, but those are not at least publicly spoken about with the 1st Marine Expeditionary Force or the 1st MEF. I'm going to just start saying MEF. I hate saying the whole thing. Now, when it comes to artillery, I was very surprised about this. Maybe you guys have better luck than me. Aside from rocket artillery, which we've already talked about their missiles and stuff, the Houthis don't have any. Like cannon artillery, towed artillery, self-propelled artillery. They don't. I can't find it anywhere. I even went as far as looking at the wiki. Nothing there. I literally wrote 404 not found because I thought it was funny in my notes. And the MEF has 777. America's premier 155. I say America's, it's from BAE Systems. Yes, beans on toast, that's yours. Look, if it's a good gun, it's a good gun. We used the Bofors from like the 1920s until like 2016. If it's good, don't fucking change it. So, and then you have HIMARS, the High Mobility Artillery Rocket System, which is a vital part of this entire fight. And then you have the 120 millimeter mortars that they do carry along with them. I found, when I was reading that, like I read it, and then I found a Reddit post that says Marines don't touch 120s unless they're working with the Army. But like from the 1st MEF website, it says that they have 120 mortars. So I'm hoping that's accurate. I don't know. And well, now we're moving on to the war plan. Give me some cool music and like dark shit, G-Van. There we go. I don't know how that's going to turn out. I don't even look at these most of the time until I post them. I'm just kidding. Love you, G-Van. So anyways, the war plan, and it's going to take some simultaneous action. So I looked at the map, I checked where everything was, I was looking at areas of approach, I was looking at terrain, I probably put way too much effort into this, and in reality, Uncle Sam would just fucking bowl them over, but I'm here for it. So simultaneous action. So a couple of these are going to happen at the exact same time. Al-Buq Airstrip, ALBUQ. Airstrip is 5 miles from Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is friendly to the United States, and the eastern part of Yemen is friendly to the United States. So those are going to be two large areas that we will be coming from. Anyways, the airstrip is 5 miles from the Saudi border, and it's 100 miles from the capital, Sana'a. I think that's how you say that. We would take a small contingent to seize the airstrip to operate the F-35s, the F-18s, the AVABs, and kind of all of our close air support during that time. It has a 1.5 mile runway, although I will tell you from the pictures on Google Maps, the runway's seen better days. Get some Marines a shovel, and we're going to make this shit happen. Within the time frame of us seizing that, we're going to begin suppression of enemy air defenses with F-35s. And that just what little they have, they do have some smaller stuff. F-35 is probably going to do just fine. I would have those prioritize suppression of enemy air defense. The F-18s and the AVABs, I'm going to have them running any visible launchers and things like that are available. They have to destroy those launchers. They have to. Or the Marines that are coming from the other directions are going to get fucking murdered. We got to eliminate as many of their launchers as we possibly can. Now, the rocket unit, HIMARS, stuff like that, will start moving in from the east near Oman. And they're going to start, I mean, the area itself is largely uninhabited. So the resistance there is going to be very slim. They're going to have a small contingent of like a personal security detachment that'll go with them. But overall, they're going to be pushing in from the east. And given their range, they will be able to provide, once they get a little bit further in, some close support for those ground forces. Now, the main force, these are going to be your artillery, your mortars, your air defense artillery, well, whatever kind of ADA they have available. They're going to amass in the port. They're going to come in from the port of Jazan, or in Jazan, which is in Saudi Arabia. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, we don't want to get into an ocean battle with the Houthis. Now, you're like, why are you doing all this land? Marines are experts in amphibious fights. The sheer number of unmanned surface vehicles, unmanned drones, and missiles that they can throw at approaching amphibious vessels it's far more than the Marines could deal with. And it's nothing against them. They just don't have the systems in place to be able to deal with that kind of punishment, because that's normally a Navy function. So they're going to start there, and they're going to head south along the coast there. This is going to be the area of primary resistance. The Houthis' stronghold is the capital, Sana'a. I don't know how to fucking say that. But anyways, they're going to destroy all the ports along the coast. With their primary mission is to destroy Al-Hudaydah, I don't know how to say that. But if you zoom in on that port on Google Earth, you can actually still see some of the fucking destruction that the US and Israel had previously done to that place. Pretty funny. The main reason they're destroying the ports is because even after we gain fire superiority, putting our ships into any of those ports to try and get closer logistics and stuff like that is going to open them up, because you need a deep water port to bring in some of these larger logistics vessels. Meanwhile, Haji McBombmaker can fucking launch his little tiny RC boat in 4 inches of water. So like, it puts us at a disadvantage. So I wouldn't even want to chance the ships going in there. I even wrote land fight advised before I continued on. That's pretty funny. So after air supremacy is established, which should be relatively quickly, they do have some loitering like air defense missiles, but I mean, I don't foresee, like, we're going to use the air power to our advantage. Oh, also, one thing that I forgot, as that main force is moving down, the MEF rotary wing aircraft, your AH-1Zs, your AH-1Ws, your UH-1Vs, those will be providing close air support for the Marines as they push south. Like, that is their sole purpose in life, eliminate anything that is trying to touch those Marines. While the F-35s, the F-18s start handling all the larger strategic targets, allowing the Marine Force to have freedom of maneuver. That's what I would do. Now, it's important to note that the Eastern rocket units will need anti-tank units with them, because the tanks that they have, that is the only area where terrain is to their advantage. Big, open, empty swaths of land. Now, a T-55 is not formidable against an Abrams. We know that. But a T-55 against a HIMARS, that T-55 is doing pretty goddamn well, as long as it has line of sight. If the forward observers can detect the tank before the HIMARS gets there, you can smoke it long before, but I would still have anti-tank units with the HIMARS units as they're pushing in from the east. Now, the main force, after destroying the port, is going to use the small winding roads in the mountains to bottleneck enemy tanks and transport and eliminate them as quickly as humanly possible. The terrain is rough. The terrain is incredibly rough. However, you can only move large vehicles on semi-improved roads. And if the Marines are smart about how they move through these things, and that would be your subordinate commanders who are like, look, this is my unit. This is the area we have to get through and control. We're going to place them here, here, and here. And then this is going to be our area of egress. Like, they'll plan it on their level. This is just a big overarching, like, this is how I would do it. The main element will then move east towards the capital, using the rotary wing as close air support. Fixed wings at this point in time are going to continue to hunt launchers because the Houthis have a lot of launchers, and any cave opening that is large enough to store a launcher, they are to close it. I don't care if there's another exit. You'll find that other exit some other time. Just close it. Bury them under the rubble. Sorry, it's war. It's not fucking nice. Now, this is where the fight gets really dirty for the Marines. Okay, I feel really bad for them because I couldn't think of a way to get a tactical advantage. Trust me, we tried for 20 fucking years. The capital is surrounded by mountains, and you are high as pterodactyl butthole if you think that they are not carving out caves and utilizing caves in those mountains. They're everywhere. When we get to the cave systems, every cave, remember, we have a finite number of troops, but in this scenario, we have an infinite number of explosives. So I would recommend using thermobaric charges to eat up all the air inside the cave and then sealing it with explosives. That's what I would recommend, because the Marines are at a disadvantage in the way of numbers, and moving into a cave bottlenecks you. It's like a perpetual fatal funnel for those of you who've ever cleared rooms. The easy way to negate the enemy's superior numbers in this throughout this entire fight, I was looking at it, change the rules of engagement. Look, our enemy is non-uniformed, and they will continue to do non-uniformed enemy things. So the escalation of force is pretty simple. If you feel you're in danger, if you perceive something as a threat, if you see an opportunity to deny the enemy transportation, freedom of maneuver, or anything else, you could be denying the enemy a water source.
Freeze!
I'm thirsty.
It's not nice. It's war, okay? Deadly force is authorized.
Bravo 6. Going dark.
Period, point blank. I'm sorry. I've seen what fighting a war with your hands tied behind your back will do. And I wouldn't want another 20 years of fighting in a fucking high plains mountainous desert with jackasses that are hiding in caves. Not a fan, okay? Now, close air support is going to be vital. We need round-the-clock close air support for these Marines. It's going to be vital to offset the numbers of enemy forces. The U.S. historically uses our artillery and our close air support as a shield, and it helps us win in overwhelming numbers. It's happened a lot in Afghanistan. The Taliban got smart to it. The Battle of Kamdesh at Kop Keating, where Clint Romeshay got his Medal of Honor, the Taliban got smart to it, and they're like, they can't use it if we breach the wall before it's there. Smart on the Taliban. Unfortunately for them, Clint motherfucking Romeshay was on the other side of that wall, and he had the most American thought ever. The enemy breached the wall. What do? Let's attack. Like, that's a very American mentality there, okay? As the fight continues, and I wrote this in here, you need to expect new and lawless tactical decisions out of desperation by the Houthis. Now, I looked. There are reports both saying yes and some reports saying no. I looked on both sides. That the Houthis use hospitals, that they use mosques, that they use religious locations, that they use all these things to store weapons and hide. Look, if the enemy followed the rules, those places would be untouched. The enemy doesn't follow the rules, so why the fuck should we? And just spitballing here, okay? This will not be an easy fight. This will not be. The Marines, a lot of them are going to die.
Some of you may die.
Like, this is not as overwhelming as I would normally like to go into any fight. But I do genuinely believe that if they're smart, and I know saying a Marine is smart is kind of arbitrary, but like, you look, in air defense, we used to call it the monkey drill. And you can teach a complete bumbling idiot to fight that system like nobody's fucking business. He's not going to know which buttons he's pushing in the Patriot system, but he's going to push them at the right fucking times. We call it the monkey drill. I assume Marines do the same shit. Like, hey, guess what? Big heavy round, go in, big gun. I pull string, go boom, bad guy go dead. Like, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to be good at fucking murking people, okay? But if they're smart with the way that they use their forces and use economy of force and, I mean, realistically, tactical patience and violence of action, I give them about an 80 to 95% success rate. I mean, it's pretty high on the Marine side here, just because, I mean, honestly, close air support and the air superiority and air supremacy is really going to go in their favor. However, I could be potentially very much underestimating the amount and the complexity of like Houthi tunnel networks and their ability to like pop out fire and get back into cover. I could be very much like downplaying that. But that's my assessment and I'm sticking to it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. This one was really hard to find a lot of this information on. Plus, I've been so incredibly busy. I thank you all for your patience. So as always, watch out for one another. I care about every single one of you guys, and don't do the enemy any fucking favors. And keep your head up, all right? I'll see you guys all next time. Play me out.